up, everyone? I've got a question. Where the fuck is Kamaru Usman? Because for a while, Kamaru Usman was known as that guy for being so active in the welterweight division, and the last time he fought was 523 days ago. And it's not like he's getting any younger. He turned 38 in May. And I'm not gonna lie, it pisses me off that he's inactive because I actually think he has the skill set to become champion again. However, I think because he's getting older and maybe his durability isn't as good as it used to be, his chances are against him. But like I say, skill set wise, I think he's a hard matchup for all of the top welterweights. And another thing what's annoying about this, he's coming off 3 losses right now. The second fight against Leon, the third fight against Leon, and a short notice fight against Khamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division. And even though he's lost his last 3 fights, he keeps talking about, oh, I'd love to fight Belal, oh, I'd love to fight Shavkat, Sean Brady, yada yada yada. How can you be saying all this when you've lost your last 3 fights and you haven't fought since late 2023? Now, although I just said that, in all fairness to him, his last fight was against Khamzat Chimaev on what, 10 days notice I think it was, and he arguably should have won that fight. Upper weight division, at the very worst, he should have got a draw. And let's be honest, in that Khamzat fight, he didn't really take any damage. I know there's a lot of people say that the first round was a 10-8 because he got ragdolled, but again, he didn't take too much damage. So why has he been out for just so long? Now, if you ask me, I think it's a bit of an ego thing. I think Kamaru Usman still thinks that he is that guy, but how can you be that guy again when you're on 3 back-to-back losses? It doesn't really make sense, but this is how I see it. Kamaru Usman still thinks he's that guy, and I still think he's very aware that his name holds a lot of value in that welterweight division, so he knows when he decides to come back, he will get a big name, at least someone in the top 5 of that welterweight division. I mean, there were rumors for a while that he was going to be taking on JDM in Australia. I think it was the Sean Strickland and DDP rematch card. It was UFC 312. He was meant to be on that card, and well, it didn't happen because, again, I don't know what happened there. He watched Joaquin Buckley versus Colby, from what I remember, as well, and then walked out. So I don't know what the crack is with him, but we need to see him in the octagon very soon. And if he does decide to stop fucking about and come back, well, then we need to find a matchup for him. So that's what we're going to do. So right here we have the welterweight rankings, and as we can see, Kamaru Usman is ranked 4th in the welterweight division, which is quite crazy considering his last win was against Colby Covington in 2021, late 2021. So it's almost been 4 years, 3.5 years ago, which is fucking bizarre that he's still 4th after that amount of time. But regardless, who could we match him up against? Well, Sean Brady, he's just won, maybe, but I think that's a bit generous to give him Sean Brady, who's, you know, number 1 ranked in the welterweight division. Shavkat, I wouldn't mind, and people have wanted this fight for a very long time. I believe they train together, and that's why they're a bit, oh no, I won't do it. So fuck all that, fight each other. I wouldn't mind this fight. I feel like Kamaru Usman's confidence would have only grown after that performance from Shavkat against Ian Gary. I wouldn't mind that one. I think you could make that whenever Shavkat comes back from injury, because Kamaru Usman seems to be taking his fucking time at the moment. So by the time Shavkat's back, maybe we get Kamaru Usman and him late summertime, maybe September time, however long it would take for Shavkat to be ready after his injury. Next up, we have the third in the rankings, which is Leon Edwards. We're not doing that fight. There's already been a trilogy. That trilogy has been settled. We don't need a 4th fight between the two. Would make absolutely no sense. JDM's fighting for a title right now against Belal. Doesn't make sense. That's kind of swung past us now, considering everyone wanted it in Australia. Well, we can't get that now. And that would have been perfect for Kamaru Usman. Fights JDM. Whoever wins that could have gone on to fight Belal. Well, JDM's already fighting him, but you know what I mean? That could have been a nice shortcut if he was able to get past JDM to the title shot, but he fucked it because he was too busy sipping cocktails and spending time on the Henry Cejudo podcast, which I don't think anybody really watches. But regardless, I don't want to be a prick. Joaquin Buckley, I like this matchup. This is a very exciting one in my opinion. I think it's a good clash of styles. I think Buckley's good at building up hype for a fight, and I think Usman also does a decent job for that as well. And I feel like skill for skill, this is a hard one to tell. I feel like Buckley may just win this purely on the fact that he's much younger, much hungrier. I would be very interested in that fight. Headline a fight night card, maybe co-main on a pay-per-view, main card of a pay-per-view, whatever you want to do. I feel like this would need to be 5 rounds though to justify it. I feel like fights what mean a lot for a weight division that high up need to have 5 rounds, and this would be a fight would definitely need it. I feel like we'll be robbed as fans if it was only a 3-rounder, but I'd love that fight as well. Buckley at the moment kind of got nothing going on as well, so I wouldn't mind that fight. Next up, Ian Gary maybe? I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I would prefer Leon Edwards and Ian Gary, but I suppose it's still a possibility. And anyone below Ian Gary, I just don't see the reason in it happening. Maybe the winner of Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates, but even still, I'm not exactly sure on that one. So Buckley sounds like a great one to me. Maybe Shavkat, but if he wants to get in there quite soon, I'm sure Bucklin's raring to go. To get him in there with Buckley, I like that matchup a lot. But you know what? We're not going to stop there. Oh, no. We're going to check out the middleweight division as well. His last outing again was in that middleweight division, and after his fight against Khamzat Ware, I thought he looked quite good in the middleweight division. Again, on short notice, I was running up all the possibilities of who he could fight next. So let's go up to the middleweight division and see who we could possibly match Kamaru Usman up with. So right here we have the middleweight rankings. Of course, the champion DDP. Well, obviously Kamaru Usman is not getting a fucking sniff at that. That's Khamzat. Imavov, I feel like that's too high. You know, you're lost in the middleweight division. So I'm saying he's not going to do the Adesanya fight. Strickland would be a fun one, actually. I'd actually like that, as it would be a rematch. The build-up would be quite fun. I wouldn't mind that. I feel like you could get away with doing it, I'll be completely honest. I know Sean Strickland is second in the rankings, but I feel like you would be able to pull that off and fans wouldn't moan too much. Maybe they would. Fuck knows, there's a lot of Karens out there, but I wouldn't mind it. I think that'd be quite a fun clash of styles. These both became a lot better since their first meeting in the octagon. I wouldn't mind it. You know, Sean Strickland could definitely win that one, so I wouldn't mind that one. Adesanya, he's not going to do. Khamzat we've seen, but people wouldn't moan about a rematch. Well, let's be honest, he's getting that title fight against DDP. Robert Whittaker, sign me up. I'm all for the Robert Whittaker fight. I've been wanting this fight for a very long time. You know, Whittaker's usually a great anti-grappler. I know he didn't display that against Khamzat, but usually he's very good at stuffing the takedowns of grapplers and, you know, sussing them out and keeping it standing. And I think this would be a great fight. A 5-rounder, headline a fight night card. Again, maybe you want to do it as a co-main for a main event, for a pay-per-view, sorry. I would be all on board for that. I really want this fight. I think that would be very interesting. Caio Borralho, maybe. I think we want to do Borralho and Whittaker because they haven't really spoke about what's happening next for Borralho ever since he beat Cannonier. Maybe you do Usman Cannonier. I wouldn't mind that either. I'll be all for that. And anyone below that, I wouldn't really get excited for a Dolidze fight, but I suppose you could still do it, to be honest. Maybe Anthony Hernandez as well. I wouldn't mind that. There's a lot of options for him in that middleweight division. Anyone from, you know, from the number 2 spot all the way down to the number 9 spot, really. I wouldn't mind for Kamaru Usman, but will he go there? I think he's got his eyes set on that welterweight division, but I would love to see him in that middleweight division because I still think he could have some success in that division and still cause us some nice potential bangers. And after doing this magnificent matchmaking, it just makes me want to see Usman back in that octagon even more. I feel like I didn't appreciate Usman when he was actually really active. I know he had some stinkers like the first Masvidal fight and whatnot, but I don't know, I just miss seeing Usman back in that octagon. I remember the feelings I had going into that Khamzat and Usman fight. It was crazy. I was nervous, and I'm not even a big fan of either one of those guys, but just that big fight energy was crazy. And I need to see Usman back in that octagon because it's such a shame. But he's just sitting out on the sidelines after creating a profile of being so active, and now he's being really inactive. And I don't like to see that. He's got great options in both the middleweight division and the welterweight division. We need to see him back ASAP, Rocky. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about Kamaru Usman? When do you think he'll be back? Who do you think he'll be fighting next? Who would you like to see him fight next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.